Okay, so now we are going to look at, let's just cover this up so we don't get confused, how to make a direct materials budget. It's really very easy to do. You're going to take the numbers that you have here. This is our production. This is the material requirements per unit. It's 0.6 pounds. Multiply that out. We have 144. We want to look at next month and make sure we have a 30% of next month's ending inventory. So we're going to make 52,500, and we're going to multiply that times the 6, which gives us the full amount. Multiply that times the 30, and comes up with, this is what our ending inventory needs to be for direct materials for the next month's production run. So our total requirements are 153,450. We add these up. We had a beginning inventory, remember, right here. So we're going to subtract that. So what we have to buy is 110,250. And the price per pound is $175. So this is our budgeted cost of the materials purchased. It's mainly a plug and chug. You have all the numbers. This is for direct labor and factory overhead. So what you end up doing is I'm going to produce 2,400 units, and that's 4 hours per unit, which gives me a total of $9,600, or 9,600 hours that are needed, times the rate of $9. Now, when you look at overhead, we're looking at relating this to direct labor. So it's 9,600 hours we need, and this says for every hour we work, it's $11 variable overhead. So we multiply that out and come up with 105,600. We have a fixed budget here, or a fixed overhead that needs to be added. So now we have our budgeted total overhead. So that's overhead and materials, one way of doing it. This one is going to introduce you to the concept of figuring out the next month's inventory, ending inventory that you have to have as a requirement. So here's the information. And this one starts out with next month's sales. So next month's sales for April is May of 580. June is for May of 540 and 620. And it says we need to have 25% of that inventory at the end of April. So we're going to figure that first. We come up with 145, 135, and 125 by multiplying that by 25%. So what are we making this month? Well, that's just right across here, so you pull those down. So this gives us the required units. And what was our beginning inventory from the prior? So this says 190. So I'm going to put 190 here. This ending inventory becomes the beginning, and this ending inventory becomes the beginning. These are subtracted, okay, to give you the true amount of units to be produced. Here's one on materials, and it's pretty. This is a little more complex. You're looking at, here's our units to be produced, and it's 5 units per unit. So this is what we need for production. Now we have to look at, we have a requirement for ending inventory, which is 30% of the next month's production. So just looking at this 855 comes from multiplying the 30% times the previous, the next month's materials needed. So that comes to 855. This one comes from 30% times the 2800. This one comes from 30% times the 2700. You're always going forward. So these are our total requirements. Now, what is our beginning? I have to consider my beginning. And it tells me here 633. So this ending becomes this beginning, and this ending becomes this beginning. You subtract those. So these are the materials to be purchased at $4 a pound. That's kind of odd, but confusing. So now I have my total cost for my direct materials. Looking at labor one more time, and labor is really easy after doing the others. Here's your labor units. Here's the number of labor hours. Multiply that out, and you will come up with total labor dollars required. Now you'll notice in September the cost went up. And finally, we're going to do a cash budget, and they're fun. So there's some requirements here. This company always has $8,000 a minimum cash balance. If they don't have it, they borrow, and the loan will cost them 1% on what they borrowed each month. We're beginning with a balance of $8,400, and then these are our receipts, and these are our disbursements. So I begin with this. I add the receipts. This is my available, and I subtract the cash disbursements, and I only have $400 left. So I'm going to have to borrow $7,600, which gives me $8,000 ending, and a loan balance of $7,600. So I begin August with $8,000. My receipts, I have $34,000. I spend $30,000 plus the $76 in interest comes out. I have an ending balance of $39.24. I've got to borrow more money. So I need to borrow $4,076. That brings me up to $8,000. I now have a loan of $11,676. So let's start all over again. September, $8,000. Oh wow, we've got some good cash receipts here. So I have $48,000 available. My disbursements are down, so I have, but my interest is up a bit. But I have a $25,883 cash balance. Now I'm going to pay off that loan, and I'll still have $14,207 left. These are really a lot of fun. So that's how we're going to begin. And the homework, we're going to have everything connected. So it's going to be a little bit longer, and it's going to be, numbers are going to be tied together. So thank you, and let's move on. We're going to do the income statement next.